Itza, Guatemala. Who are the Itza people? The Itza are a Maya ethnic group native to the Piton region of northern Guatemala and parts of Belize. The Itza people identify themselves as descendants of speakers of the Maya language. Spaniards and scholars refer to them as Itzas, but they usually refer to themselves as Mayas. The history of the Itza people. By 800 AD, the Itza civilization had gone into decline. People fled cities to start smaller tribes elsewhere. There were around 15 million Itza during that time. Food shortages soon became common and wars broke out between rival clans. Over time, the cities became destroyed and covered by the jungles. In 1521, a Spanish conquistador, Francisco de Montejo, sent a request to the King of Spain. Montejo wanted to conquer the Yucatan, where the Itza people lived. Because the Itza people did not have a main political center, it would be more difficult for Montejo to capture the Yucatan. He would have to capture each city individually if they wanted to take control of the whole area. It was 170 years before the last Itza city fell. The Spanish brought smallpox and other European diseases with them as well. As a result, 90% of the Itza population died. When the Spanish took control, they forced the Itza people to convert to Christianity and to work as slaves. Anyone who continued to worship the Itza gods were punished. Sacred texts were burnt, and statues were smashed. The Yucatan remained a Spanish colony for 100 years. Even so, the Itza people still continued to keep their culture and language alive. The Itza had finally had enough and unleashed a full-scale attack on the Spaniards. The Spanish tried to fight back, but failed, ultimately losing 150 men. The Itza finally broke from the Spanish in 1820. The culture of the Itza people. The Itza people worshipped nature gods, gods of the sun, moon, rain, and corn. According to the Popol Vuh, a book that contains legends of the Itza, the gods began by creating the earth and the sky. Next, they made the animals, the birds, and flying creatures. The animals could not speak to worship the gods. That's why the gods decided to make humans. First, humans were made out of mud, but they crumbled back into dirt. The second time, they carved humans out of wood. The wooden people were strong, but they did not worship the gods, so the gods destroyed them with a flood. The gods tried a third time and made humans out of yellow and white corn. The corn produced real humans that would worship the gods. Sacrifice was important in Itza culture, and offering of blood was seen as food or nourishment for the gods. Sometimes the Itzas would cut themselves or sacrifice animals. Human sacrifices were usually limited to special events like a new temple, new king, or times of trouble like famine, drought, and war. The Itzas were called one of the greatest artists. They were expert carvers, creating elaborate objects out of bone, flint, and jade. They carved monuments to their kings and warriors, recording victories and important events for their history. The Itza were also skilled in pottery, making cups, bowls, plates, and vases. They were often decorated with paintings or carvings. Paintings from the Itzas were also discovered. The paintings were made from a color called Maya blue or Itza blue, which was very strong and did not fade. After the fall of the Itza civilization, the secret to making this color was lost. The achievements of the Itza people. The Itza people have a lot of scientific achievements from the past. The Itzas figured out the concept of zero before the Europeans did. They made accurate calendars with 365-day years, and their astronomers tracked cycles of the sun, moon, and planets thousands of years in advance correctly. By 700 BC, they invented a writing system. Only 4 other cultures ever did that. They made thousands of paper books and also invented chocolate, herbal medicine, and maybe basketball, but we're not really sure. Basketball in their time was called the ball game. The Itza ball game was a symbol of their wealth and power. Players were not allowed to move the ball with their hands or feet. Instead of hitting it with their elbows, hips, knees to keep it in the air. They had to get the ball through a stone hoop on the side of a wall, but it was so difficult to do so that the game could last for weeks. The losers were sometimes sacrificed to the gods. The Itza were very successful in building hundreds of cities, which included schools, libraries, hospitals, and huge sports arenas. This was all before the Spanish took over. From 1500 years of literature, only 4 Itza books exist today, but no one alive fully understands them. The Itza people today. The Itza civilization has been reduced to 7 million people contained in Guatemala, Mexico, Belize, and Honduras. Agriculture is their main economic activity. They harvest cotton, corn, and cane. They live in a very poor town and are fighting to keep their legacy alive. They still continue to share their traditions with future generations. Children stopped learning their language in the 1930s because of the government's strict language policy. Now only a few elderly people can speak their language today, and most of the young people are disconnected from their traditional teachings and history. Some are also leaving the community in search of education and working opportunities. Thank you for watching.